Good morning, folks. Wherever you are out there, welcome. This is the Charge Life podcast. I am Joseph Barletta, and this is where we discuss EVs and all things EV charging. Glad you could pull over and park with us today, so let's get plugged in. Today's episode is all about Tesla Cybertruck charging specs, what we know, what we think. So you're going to love this one. Stay tuned. Before we begin today's episode, brought to you by Smart Charge America. Since 2007, Smart Charge America has installed tens of thousands of EV charging stations nationwide, and they can do the same for you today, whether in the home, commercial, service. Let their team of expert installation specialists guide you to the best charging solution for your electric car. After all, if you can't charge, you can't drive. Visit smartchargeamerica.com today to get started. All right, so look, this is some pretty exciting stuff. Lots of stuff that has happened in the news, of course, recently. But what we wanted to kind of do was just kind of bring together what we know so far of the Tesla Cybertruck charging specs, and some of the stuff that we're kind of speculating, we're kind of drawing out some conclusions. But for the most part, we know that what we've heard is that Tesla Cybertruck charging specs basically going to be similar, if not the same, as a Model X Plaid on steroids, like further developed, like another iterative innovation there. And so what we're seeing is that the tri-motor spec powertrain, it should be the first that's debuted. That should be the first that they're delivering. It's probably going to be one of the most expensive trims, and so they want to get that one out there. Similar to, like, that powertrain should work similar to how the Tesla Semi works. If you recently released, I think about 2 weeks ago, Jay Leno had drove the Tesla Semi with Franz and another gentleman that was head of all supercharging powertrain production. And that was a very particular video. If you can go watch that, some really good insight on how the powertrain works for the Semi. And so we can kind of start wrapping around, okay, well, then maybe the Cybertruck is going to have a similar, type of powertrain functionality to it. Now, what we're hoping on the original presentation for the Cybertruck, they talked about the tri-motor having 500 miles plus on range. And I just don't know where they're going to get that. I think Tesla's either going to come up with 150 kW battery pack or possibly a 200 kW battery pack. We just don't know the battery size. But I'm thinking with the enormous just strength of the of the actual Cybertruck itself and the platform that it's on, with the approach angle and departure angles, all of that stuff should be able to allow Tesla to add, an additional, I would say, 50 kW. So we're thinking the lower trim model is probably going to be somewhere around 150. Maybe the tri-motor is going to be about a 200 kW battery pack. We're seeing, remember when the Tesla Cybertruck was debuted, we thought 500. How are they going to do that? Well, if you look at the Roadster 2.0, right, they double stack battery packs on that end, 600-mile range. How come? Now, I'm not saying that they're going to double stack battery packs for the Cybertruck, but they could. They very well could. Or they could split it. They could do some sort of configuration that allows the enormous amount of, the center of gravity in that truck platform to really hold its weight, especially in off-roading performance, so forth, so on. And it's a truck. They're going to be towing stuff. You're going to be hauling stuff. Like, Tesla knows that range is significantly affected when you do those things. So you come up with something with a 300-mile range, you start towing, it really has 125-mile range, like, really, in all practicality. So I think with them coming out and possibly having a 500-mile range, that's the secret sauce. I think that's where they're gonna fall in line with. Now, we have seen during Investor Day, you had Drew Baglino and some of the other powertrain guys jump on and talk about 800-volt architecture. And how what we know about 800-volt architecture is that, yeah, it's a little bit more expensive up front, but it allows you to trim weight, right? You don't need as much wire. The wire that you do have is a lot lighter. You're able to go faster and improve performance of the overall powertrain, so forth and so on. So we're really thinking that 800-volt battery architecture will be able to have a distinct kind of transition in how Tesla has designed their V4 superchargers. And you see that the V4 superchargers are starting to roll out right now in press releases, a few out in California, maybe one in Alabama I just recently saw. So those are going to be 350 kW. So we want that truck to be able to take that amount of power. And right now with the 800-volt architecture, that is actually going to be possible. They have hinted on the Cybertruck that Cybertruck's going to have about, they talk about Cybertruck has the capability of megawatt charging. Now, this is where it gets kind of confusing, because what we've seen is that megawatt charging on the semis are approaching around 750 kW. That's the charging speed. But of course, that's also like a 900 kilowatt hour battery pack. It's like this massive battery pack, right? So if you look at the Cybertruck being able to handle that, I would imagine if Tesla has maybe 2 charging ports, or if something happens with the version 4 NACS connector that allows it to actually receive the same capabilities for that megawatt charging standard. If you look at the Tesla Semi charging connector, it is a little bit different, slightly different there. So we just don't know. We're speculating on that end, but I doubt they're going to come up with 2 different ports. I think Tesla's going to make some more tests out of that unique charging port and actually develop higher specifications in the cord itself, but continue to use the NACS charging standards. So that's going to be really exciting. What we anticipate is that there will be 240 volt onboard outlets in addition to 120. Of course, we know that. But we're thinking that with the Ford F-150 Lightning having the 240 volt 30 amp, I think that the Cybertruck will have both 240 30 amp and 240 50 amp charging capabilities. And that's really going to really open up everyone's, brain power, I guess, when it comes to power tools, being able to use generators on site, so forth and so on. It just gives a little bit more robust to the flexibility nature that you can actually use the onboard charging systems there to actually power, job sites, so forth and so on, for work trucks, utility trucks, fleet, police vehicles, emergency response, all of that stuff. I think that's going to be a real key part. So we're anticipating 50 kW or 50 amp, possibly NEMA 1450 outlet inside those onboard charging specs for the Tesla Cybertruck. We also know from recent releases of information that the frunk, the tonneau cover, and the tailgate are all powered. That is wildly convenient. That absolutely, and you probably will be able to control them from your app. That's going to be amazing. So we do know that's going to have hardware 4 capability, which is great. There's only one paint color, which is no paint, which is pretty cool. However, if you look at the release this week, Tesla just released that they're going to start doing wraps online inside their service centers now. And of course, it's only like 2 service centers out in California, but that's eventually going to spread, and that offering's there. They're offering the wraps for the Model 3, the Model Y, all of their other vehicles, but you can kind of see these things happening with the launch and with the debut of the Cybertruck. It's really exciting stuff there. We know, or we anticipate, and of course, Farzad, he had mentioned earlier in his podcast yesterday, some really good insight. He's got the prices broken down. I'll put a shout out to his link on the notes descriptions there. But we knew from the start that this tri-motor configuration, we're thinking 150, maybe 200 kilowatt battery pack, probably should come around somewhere around $79,999. Now, that's basically in order to qualify for the $7,500 tax credit, which of course in January is going to be at a point of sale, but you can get down. But we're thinking it's definitely going to be exercised come January, and that is all for the kind of the charging specs that we know of so far. And we're kind of speculating on a few of those, but what we really want to see, I guess, from our point of view is, let's take this as a moonshot, is that we're hoping that the Cybertruck actually has wireless charging standard capable, and I know that's a moonshot. I know it's far out cry. I know there's the giant steel plate under the body that protects the carriage and everything else, but we're anticipating that, look, if you look at that steel plate, if you just CNC cut out a little portion of that steel plate, throw an actual, wireless charging receiver on there, you still have and afford the same protection there, but now your vehicle has the capability of just pulling into a spot and actually wirelessly charging, not having to worry about plugging in, so forth and so on, which is wildly important for fleets. And when I'm talking about fleets, we're talking about possibly the first, maybe some of the early adopters of these trucks will be fleets. So we're really looking at that. It's a moonshot. We can pretty much guarantee with the recent purchase and sale of Hyperion with Tesla that happened this week as well. We're really anticipating that that's probably going to be injected in the newer Gen 2 model robotaxi type configuration. But we're speculating that could be something really exciting for the Tesla Cybertruck that's coming out. So if you look at everything Tesla's done, like we've been working with Tesla for so long, like, and you guys know this, y'all are watching this. Everything that Tesla does, like when they release a product, they literally put their foot on their competition's throat. They literally strangle them, and it's amazing to see with engineering and with innovation what they bring to the forefront. Like no one is able to touch them, and that's so exciting to see what Tesla has in store for the debut of the Cybertruck. If you look, everything is in the form of rapid, iterative innovation with Tesla. You look at the disruptive nature, and the change is always in an order of magnitude. Like Elon doesn't do anything unless it's in an order of magnitude type of change and disruption capability. So thinking out of the box, I think the large size of Cybertruck's platform, like we talked about, will allow Tesla to add more batteries. And yeah, it's a little bit more weight, but definitely the batteries. And then of course that skid plate on the bottom. If they're able to do wireless charging, it's like now's the perfect time for that. If you look at the overall design of the actual Cybertruck itself, in Walter Isaacson's recent autobiography book, Elon talked about his son came in and said, "Hey, Dad, why doesn't the future look like the future?" If you look at the design of the Cybertruck, I know it's off-putting to some, but if you look at like sci-fi movies, if you look at gaming and arcade games and all that stuff, like this is how people see the future. So why isn't it here? And that's what Elon's doing. He's bringing that here now. So now people can start seeing and envisioning the future and actually get on board with exactly what he's trying to do. If you look at the build, the vertical integration of Tesla, the profitability, that the Cybertruck actually has the ability to be profitable. It's really cool. But if you look at the actual power specs, all electric EV truck, that's pretty cool. And then of course, FSD, the autonomy of the Cybertruck, that's going to be huge when it comes to fleet, carpools, caravans. That's going to be pretty sweet. So I really want to focus on you guys to like pay attention to the signals, not the noise. Look at the signals. I'm going to give you 6 signals right now that will show you like kind of it's supporting some of our thesis here. You look at the debut of the Cybercell, okay? Limiting factor, guys are talking about, that has 10% more energy density. Okay, well, that's in production. Tesla just announced this week, again, 20 millionth battery cell in production at Giga Texas. Awesome. You look at Tesla opening up the Tesla wraps that are now being offered in several service centers. That's actually a configuration that's online right now. That's exciting. Look at version 4 superchargers coming out. Here we come. Here we go. Look at the IRS tax code being, switched over to the point of sale and having that transaction take place and further discounting customers at the point of sale for the price of these EVs. And if you look at the ability, let's say Tesla makes a 200 kilowatt battery pack, says it only has, 450-mile range. But then, hey, after you purchase the car, you can go ahead and unlock additional range for a certain amount. You can go ahead and unlock FSD for a certain amount. You can go ahead and unlock maybe faster performance for a certain amount. So the customer still gets the tax credit and all the benefits of a low-priced truck, EV truck, amazing truck. But then they also have the ability to actually upsell. And I think Tesla really kind of stuck their toes out in the water with some of the stuff that they were doing with the performance and all of those upgrades. And now I think they're really going to start, they want to see that come to light. And I think this is a really good way that they can do that. So again, value conclusion, now you know kind of what's to be made up of the most up-to-date charging specs for the new Tesla Cybertruck. We really thank our audience members and our subscribers for their time today. Look, we simply can't do this without you. So I definitely want to say appreciate it. Look, I'm better for it. You're better for it. We're all better for it. So overall, go ahead and click the thumbs up icon below, share, comment, subscribe. Let us know if we earned it. And yeah, look, folks, thanks again for charging up with us. I mean, keep in mind, look, you can always find us at smartchargeramerica.com. And if you can't charge, you can't drive. We'll see you again next time. Cheers.